So I've had quite a few setbacks in life, and I've learned quite a bit of lessons, but this one really stuck out to me the most because I feel that I had a chance to practice it or implement it right after I learned it. This was when I was back in corporate a few years ago, and I had a new boss, and I was really, really good at my job. And I'm not saying this to brag, but I moved all the way from entry level to C-suite. I had over 150 staff under me. I was responsible for hundreds of millions in dollars on an annual basis. And I was in my mid 30s, and all of my counterparts were in their 50s or greater. And when my boss took over our department, he said to me he didn't understand how someone so young like me had so much influence, was so successful, and he wanted that for himself. And so he started to give me so many different assignments, give me projects outside of the scope of my work, all in hopes that I would fail. And he even said, "This is too much for you. This is too much responsibility. This is impossible for you." And nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible when you have someone like me on your team, a fighter, a go-getter, someone who's going to get the job done. And I wouldn't rest until I saw success. And that's the same way that I am with my clients. And this continued for months and months. And he was making me feel uncomfortable. He was pushing me to do things that I knew weren't right in hopes that he would get the outcome that he desired. And so this all came to pretty much an ending in my annual performance review, where it was him and we had a one-to-one conversation. And at the same time that I was in corporate, I was also running my pole and sensual dance studio. And while I'm not ashamed, as you can imagine, it's not work-appropriate conversation. So I never talked about my business at work, and I never promoted my business at work. In this conversation, my boss admitted that he scoured the internet looking for me. And he knew about my business. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "How can I use you? How can I use your talents in what you do outside of the organization?" And at that moment, I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. I felt extremely uncomfortable. And I felt pushed way beyond my comfort zone, so much so that I knew I had a decision to make. And in life, sometimes you just have to make a decision. You can choose to stay right where you are, or you can choose to walk away from what no longer serves you. I learned to bet on myself and know what I'm capable of, know who I am, and know whose I am. And I knew that I was destined for greatness and that I was destined for more. So it was just so important. The number one lesson I learned was just always stay true to myself.